I don't like to sit for an hour's robot and big acres of ink all over everybody, you know. Once in a while it's okay. But I don't need the type of discipline to do that. I mean, there's a place for every kind of tattoo. It's like a giant puzzle with all different kind of pieces. And you get them right, they all fit together. There's a place for everybody, you know. And there's a lot of Marines out there. There's a lot of people that get one tattoo. You see them all day. You don't have to have a whole sleeved up, a whole suit of tattoos will do. I don't see anything wrong with it. The same token, I don't see anything wrong with one guy getting the Eagle Globe and Anchor, and that's it for the rest of his life. That was an important event. That's how he marked it, and that's how he represents himself wherever he goes. And the other people, Marines, they see that, they relate to each other, and they're happy with that, you know. It often used to amaze me how some people would be happy with a certain type of job that didn't look like it had a future, but that was their position, their spot. They didn't want to be president, they're happy where they're at. The same thing in tattooing, you know. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I like to do. I like to see these people walk out and turn around and say, hey, thanks. And then come back 10 or 15 years later and say, here it is, it's still great. And that's all I got. That's what they want. So each one of those I do. It's hard dealing with some of these guys because, you do so many, you get so many different kind of people. They move around, they talk, they this and that. But I still have the patience to deal with each and every one of them as best I can. And keep my equipment up as best I can so I can have on that they'll be proud of wherever they go, you know. That's the important thing right now in my life.
Zeke had a great impact on me. I mean, when I met him, he was the first, he's a really, really visionary tattooer, and he has a much more complexly developed aesthetic and deeper understanding of it on all kinds of levels than almost anybody in the business. And he's got a very, charismatic and unusual lifestyle outlook on things, and he's like kind of all over, switches channels a lot. But he just has such an incredible, he's a visionary, that's it. And I recognized that when I first met him, and he just blew me away. Not only his tattoo ability, but his overall comprehension of the business. And he's so businesslike. He's so, in pragmatic terms, the way he tattoos with absolutely no wasted motions was a great, he really set me on course for that. He really, set me when I was first starting about the way to tattoo, and it was a fantastic learning experience. And I always referred back to him either directly talking to him or just thinking about the way he works as a kind of a beacon, for my own work. He understands the machines, and he came into it from a real old-time perspective. He learned from some really, really rough and tumble old-time guys, and then refined it and honed it with his own sensibility, and then his contact with people like Jerry, and so he's into it on a really kind of a nuclear level with the machines and the whole, every little tiny aspect of it he's really on top of, and it's fantastic that way, and really pretty inspiring to see. So. But it used to bother me a lot that Zeke didn't take on do more large custom jobs. When I first knew him in Seattle, he'd done quite a bit of big body work and things that he kind of, designed, really went all out to design some kind for the person. I've seen some mind-blowing jobs of his that, were never photographed or anything. Even in those days, he was very aware of the fact that things get copied easily, and a couple of guys had come through the shop that he'd sleeved out with just phenomenal work that was so far ahead of its time. No one else was doing anything remotely like it, even Jerry. I said, oh, you should photograph this. He says, no, people just copy it, and I don't want it copied. So he was, he had this real vision, but he just never wanted to get into that work or custom stuff, and he always preferred doing, really solid, clean stuff off the flash, and then when he eventually migrated into this thing in North Carolina, where he's been for many years tattooing the Marines, he gets just as much, I think, like aesthetic or spiritual wallop or whatever, or satisfaction out of doing those very standard designs as maybe I do out of doing these big crazy, efforts that I got to do handstands to pull off. It's just a different kind of outlook that he has, but it's really genuine. So it taught me a lot that way too, because I had kind of a snob thing about certain aspects of tattooing, and he made me realize the whole, virtue of a lot of ways of looking at it.